Falling from the height of a passenger jet with no parachute is not something you survive. The human body hits the ground at around 200 kilometers an hour. There is no technique, there is no training, there is only the ground. And yet a handful of people have done exactly that, plummeted thousands of meters through open air and walked away. Not by skill, by the strangest margins of physics and luck. These are 5 of them, 5 impossible falls, and 5 people who should not be alive. March 1944. Sergeant Nicholas Alkemade is the rear gunner of a British Lancaster bomber, high over Germany in the dead of night. On the return from a raid, a German night fighter finds them. Cannon fire rakes the aircraft. Within seconds, the Lancaster is burning. Alkemade turns to grab his parachute and finds it a smoldering ruin, consumed by the fire sweeping through the fuselage. He faces an impossible choice: stay and burn alive, or jump into the freezing dark with nothing to slow him. 18,000 feet above the ground, he chooses the fall. He drops into the night, expecting to die. He loses consciousness on the way down. Below him, a stand of tall pine trees. Their branches break his fall one after another, and beneath them, deep, soft snow. He crashes through both and stops. He wakes minutes later, sitting in the snow, looking up at the stars. He can move his legs. He lights a cigarette. His only serious injury is a sprained ankle. When German soldiers capture him, they refuse to believe he jumped without a parachute until they find the burnt harness in the wreck. He had fallen 5 kilometers and lived. 2 years earlier, on the Eastern Front, a Soviet airman named Ivan Chisov is about to fall even further. January 1942. His bomber is torn apart by German fighters at around 7,000 meters, over 22,000 feet. Chisov bails out into the freezing air. But he makes a deliberate, desperate decision. German fighters are circling, machine-gunning parachutes as they descend, so Chisov does not pull his ripcord. He free falls, hoping to drop below the fighters before opening. The thin air and the cold overwhelm him. He passes out, still falling, the ripcord never pulled. He strikes the edge of a steep, snow-filled ravine and slides and rolls down its slope, the deep powder bleeding off his speed. Soldiers find him alive at the bottom. He suffered a broken pelvis and spinal injuries, and within 3 months, Ivan Chisov was flying again. January 1943. American airman Magee is a gunner aboard a B-17 Flying Fortress on a daylight raid over Saint-Nazaire in occupied France. Anti-aircraft fire shreds the bomber. It goes into a violent spin. Magee is thrown clear at around 20,000 feet with no parachute. He falls unconscious for nearly 6 kilometers, straight down toward the town below. He crashes through the glass roof of the Saint-Nazaire railway station. The domed skylight shatters and absorbs just enough of the impact to save his life. Magee survived with severe injuries and was treated by the very Germans who captured him. He had fallen through a glass ceiling and lived to see the end of the war. December 1971. 17-year-old Juliane Koepcke boards a flight across Peru with her mother on Christmas Eve. An hour in, the aircraft flies into a towering thunderstorm. Lightning strikes. The plane breaks apart in midair, nearly 3 kilometers above the Amazon rainforest. Still strapped into her row of seats, Juliane falls 2 miles, and the dense jungle canopy, thick and springy, cushions what the ground never could. She wakes alone on the forest floor, her collarbone broken, one eye swollen shut, still strapped to her seat. She is the only person she can find. Her father, a biologist, had once told her, "If you are ever lost in the jungle, find running water and follow it downstream. It will lead you to people." For 11 days she wades down rivers and through the forest, injured, starving, and alone, listening for any sign of rescue. At last she stumbles on a shelter and a small boat left by forest workers. Hours later, they find her and carry her back to the world. Of the 92 people aboard, Juliane Koepcke was the only one to survive. January 1972. Vesna Vulovic is a young flight attendant aboard a Yugoslav DC-9 cruising over Czechoslovakia. A bomb hidden in the aircraft explodes. The jet tears apart at over 10,000 meters, 33,000 feet, the highest fall on this list. Vesna is trapped inside a section of the tail, pinned by a food cart. That fragment of fuselage falls, spinning, toward the snow-covered mountains below. The tail crashes down a steep, tree-covered, snow-laden slope. The trees and deep snow break the fall of the wreckage, and the woman inside it. A villager who had once been a wartime medic finds her in the wreckage, still alive, and keeps her breathing until help arrives. She fell into a coma, broke both legs and her skull, and was paralyzed from the waist down. In time, she recovered and walked again. Vesna Vulovic holds the Guinness World Record for the highest fall ever survived without a parachute, over 10 kilometers. 5 people, 5 falls that should have been the end, so what did they share? Not skill, not strength. Every one of them was saved by what waited below: deep snow, thick trees, a jungle canopy, a glass roof, a sloping hillside. Something to trade a killing impact for a survivable one. The human body is fragile, but the world now and then breaks a fall and gives someone back a life that every law of chance said was already over. Which of these falls do you think was the most impossible? Tell us below, and subscribe to We Find the Past for more true stories history almost forgot.